Hello, and thank you for clicking on the video. This video will discuss hiring opportunities in the middle of this virus, COVID-19 virus era. Funny. I have some of you that have reached out asking some questions about hiring. As you know, law enforcement is an essential service, and therefore agencies in the middle of all this are still hiring police officers and other support staff that the police and sheriff's agencies are in need of. So let's talk about a few things before we get into that. And those things are, I've been getting also some emails from you about conspiracy theories, and is this real and is it not real, and to answer all the questions that have been asked of me about COVID-19, I could tell you this. Medical professionals have diagnosed COVID-19 as a disease. And whether you call it a cousin of the flu or related to the flu or it sounds like the flu, the reality is it's a new disease. And so if you are the type of person that is infatuated by these conspiracy theories, be very careful, because you can be swayed to believe pretty much anything. And if you believe that this COVID-19 is all a fluke, I got some swampland to sell you in Florida. That was a joke. Anyway, all right, so back to the main point for the video. You've been following me, you get these videos, you know that I'm here to help you succeed. And then thank you for all the comments on Instagram. I've been getting bombarded by some of you telling me how it's motivated you, it's inspired you, it's encouraged you to move forward. Let's think about this for a second. So in the middle of this COVID-19, essential staff are being paid, and non-essential paid staff are being put on unpaid or unemployed status, or furloughed, or let go, whatever you want to call it. I want you to take this moment in history as an opportunity to learn what is happening, right? So if you were working for the government, if you're working for the school district like I am, if you're working for a police agency, sheriff's office, state government, local government, county government, you're gonna get paid no matter what. Your job is secure. It's a civil service job. It's an essential job. So even if you're sent home, you're still gonna get paid. If you are working at a part-time job that is non-essential and you've lost your job, and I hope that this is a lesson, kind of an eye-opening lesson, not to scold you for it, just to say that maybe it's time for you to return to college and obtain the necessary education. Maybe it's time for you to get the necessary training, that you're going to get a secure job with benefits, that you're not going to be let go when something like this or other things happen. The market fluctuates. Sometimes it's on top and other times on the bottom. We knew that it was on top for a long time over the past year and a half. And if you know anything about the market, eventually it's going to go down. And it did go down. This COVID-19 was one of the main things that helped it go down. And whether it was the COVID-19 or other things, maybe investors panicking, pulling their money from the stock market, the main thing I am trying to tell you as a college professor and former police officer is that you need to learn a lesson from what is happening. You need to take care of your family. You need to secure yourself a good paying job, a good career, so that you're not going to suffer this in the next market decline. So I encourage you, if you're trying to get into law enforcement, if you always dream about being a police officer or a sheriff or a highway patrol, they are still hiring. They are still going through the process. People are still going and testing and having interviews and everything else. At our college, they're trying to fill positions, for example, professor of psychology positions, and they're doing it completely online via Zoom. So no one's coming on the campus. Everything is being done via video. And so I don't want you to, I heard a quote yesterday that I got to tell you. It was from that, it's a recent Netflix show that just came out. It's not a show, actually a movie. I think it's called Anyway, it's this guy, this special agent that goes in and rescues this boy that's been kidnapped. And I don't usually watch these shows, but it was one of those action-packed shows, and having been a former police officer, I definitely have to watch that, right, every once in a while. But anyway, the quote is that you don't drown by falling in the river. You drown by staying submerged in that river. And so this COVID-19 is like you fell in the river and you're somewhat lost, and you're trying to figure out what to do with your life, and how are you going to get back on the saddle and so forth. Some of you will go back to doing exactly what you were doing before. You're working for a part-time job, or working for a job with no benefits, etc. But hopefully a lot of you will take this lesson, and that you will get back on the saddle and say, okay, if I don't have a job, I'm going to apply for unemployment. I'm going to go back to college, get the necessary education. Most agencies now require only 30 college units to apply. Some agencies don't even require any college. So take this lesson, learn from it. Say, okay, we're now, on the downhill from COVID-19 cases. Although in my county where I currently live, they just passed a law that comes into effect tomorrow that if you're out in public, everyone has to wear a mask. And so that's what we do. I've been wearing a mask since day one because I just didn't want to get caught with anything that was flying through the air that could potentially make me really sick. So anyway, in summary, okay, if you're doing the shelter in place, if you're home, you feel like your freedom's been taken away, you feel like you've been restricted, take this as a lesson. When this whole thing lifts, I hope that you do take the amazing trips that you've been planning for a long time. I hope that you decide to go visit people that you haven't seen for a long time. And I hope that you continue to seek that career that you've been seeking for a long time. I know a lot of my 201 students are not into law enforcement careers, but I will tell you this, you should be looking into civil service jobs, teaching jobs, state jobs, Caltrans jobs, federal jobs, you name it, working for the government, where it appears that they keep printing more money just to keep everybody working and keep everybody going. And if you're working for a private company, those benefits are not as good as when you work for the government, when you work for state government, city government, county government. And I know I'm telling you a lot of stuff, and I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, and some of you are in the middle of this and you're hunkering down and you're like, when will it end? Guess what? It's going to end soon. But in the meantime, sit down and try to figure out how the world will be transformed once this COVID-19 is done, and how or what lessons you've learned from this, and how you plan to get back on your feet, get back on that saddle. You fell off the horse, get back on the saddle, and go after that desired career that you've been wanting to arrive at for a long time. This is not a time to pause. This is not a time to stick your head in the sand and give up and use this as an excuse to quit. This is a time for you to understand that the economy has changed. You have changed. People now will value their freedom more after this. They'll probably visit more places once this whole thing is lifted. So anyway, enough of that. Continue sending me your questions or concerns, your comments. I appreciate all of you, and I'm here to help you succeed. If you know anyone who's trying to obtain a career in law enforcement or other city government, state government, and they need that motivation, I encourage you to pass these videos on to them. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so that you get notified when I publish a new video. Take good care of yourself. Remember, be selfish about the dreams that you've always wanted to do. One day, the years will go past by, and if you haven't gone after those, you'll really miss out.